Alright guys, today we're going to be talking about 5 Pokemon I think are going to be very good in VGC for the upcoming Generation 9 Pokemon games. Now, by no means am I claiming that these 5 Pokemon are going to be broken or top meta threats, but I'm personally really excited to use them and I think they're going to have a place within the meta. Now, just before we get into it, one last disclaimer, this will have some spoilers from the recent leaks. This will go over Pokemon that has not been officially revealed. It's going to go over their moves, their stats, their typing, their abilities, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to avoid spoilers, please click away from it now. I will also try my best to not show any pictures of any of the new mons. I'll try to use, maybe some fan art, some maybe officially revealed art that kind of like leads towards it. But yeah, anyway, let's jump into it. All right, so the first mon here I want to jump into is my absolute personal favorite mon being introduced in Generation 9, and that is Roaring Moon, aka the new Paradox form for Salamence. Now, Roaring Moon does have 10 less base stats than Salamence, but the major difference here is I believe it's lost 45 special attack, and that's basically just been thrown into its speed, its attack, its special defense, its HP. Basically, I think everything else is up besides defense, which I think is down 9 points. But basically everything else got boosted. The typing here has changed as well to Dark Dragon, and it has got the new ability Photosynthesis. Now, for those who don't know what Photosynthesis does, is it boosts your basically your #1 stat. So for this spread here, we have it is the attack stat. We're not exactly sure yet how these stat bonuses really affected. The assumption would be 1.5, but I feel like that's way too absurd because that's just a free choice band, choice specs, choice scarf, whatever you want it to be on any of these mons. But basically what I have here for this set is a Dragon Dance, Jaw Lock, Breaking Swipes, and then in my last slot here either Rock Slide or Protect. Essentially what this mon here wants to do is with this 28 points in speed, at +1 it is faster than Dragapult. Now also I do just want to quickly specify as well when it comes to my spreads. By no means am I trying to say, hey, this is the go-to spread or anything like that. Or I don't even necessarily know how this spread would perform. This is just something I kind of just threw together just as a quick like, hey, here's a test. Because obviously, it's going to be team dependent, right? But essentially, yeah, the gist of this here is to outspeed Dragapult at +1, because I don't think there's anything faster in the game than Dragapult. So yeah, essentially it's got a lot of attack, obviously adamant nature at +1, potentially +2 with the booster energy as well. This thing will be an absolute monster. Obviously Breaking Swipes, while not necessarily the best dragon move there is, pretty good support move, and obviously with this set too we are quite bulky. The defensive stats were just more or less just to boost up the defense a bit, make it a lot tankier. Obviously it's quite frail on the physical end compared to the special end, so I wanted to give it a bit of defense. And yeah, the 196 attack is just at +2. This thing is an absolute menace. But the other set here as well I have for the Roaring Moon is something I'm probably more likely to use, and that is this one here with the Jolly plus speed 552. Everything else on this is essentially the exact same. The only difference here is the spreads. And essentially what this spread here does is that actually with 224 attack and 252 speed Jolly nature, your speed is 1 point higher than your attack stat. So essentially, depending how boosted energy works with Photosynthesis, this could just give you a free choice scarf to start the game. Now at 139 base attack, you do not need that much attack really to hit hard. Obviously, I've got D-Dance on here and whatnot as well, but just for this, for the sake of showing off the spread, I guess, and kind of what it does. Yeah, this is the spread where one more speed is the speed is 1 stat higher than the attack, so potentially a free choice scarf. Just very, very aggressive. Obviously, like with this spread here, I don't think there'll be anything in the game faster than you. I haven't double checked it, but you might even be faster than Regieleki at +1. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's an absolute monster. It's certainly one of the mons I plan on building around for my very first team. Now, the second one here I want to talk about is my personal favorite of the, I guess the brand new mons, if you want to call it that, and that is Grafaiai. Grafaiai is a very interesting mon. When I saw it, I loved its design first of all, and then I saw its abilities, and I was like, oh, this thing could maybe be a good support mon. And then we did find out that it actually gets Prankster, so that is quite cool. But the thing that kind of worried me with this thing is it kind of just looks like a worse Grimmsnarl. Like when I look at it, obviously it's a lot faster than Grimmsnarl, but it's kind of not as good. But basically, for the set we have here, I feel like this is going to be something similar to what we'll see with Grimmsnarl, and that is this Swagger set. Now, basically, this Swagger set has a particular purpose, and I'll show you with the next one. It's kind of like a combo I want to run, but what it does have Priority Taunt, It has priority Scary Face, obviously great for speed control, and then Swagger, which is obviously great for confusing special attackers on the other side, or buffing up your own tempo mons and whatnot. And then the reason we have Foul Play here is because we also have Terror Dark, and the main reason for that is so we're obviously not affected by other Prankster users. And at 110 speed, obviously we're really goddamn fast, so there's not many mons I guess that would also outspeed it. But yeah, I think, you know, obviously with 95 attack, it's nothing crazy. So obviously I didn't really want to put any of its own offensive moves on it, but I thought, yeah, definitely, you know, if I can swagger something up and then Foul Play it, it would be quite a lot of damage. But yeah, so that's the first spread here that I was looking at. And the second one I'm looking at here is the one that actually I'm more excited to use, and I'll definitely be building a team around, and that is the Doodle spread. So for anyone who doesn't know, Doodle here, what the way Doodle works is, if my memory serves me correct, is that you target one of the enemy Pokemon, and it takes, like, it copies their ability for you and an ally. So the big reason I want to use this is Slacking. Obviously, Slacking really wanted to play with Weezing this generation, but unfortunately Weezing is not in the game. But even though we don't have Weezing, we have now Grafaiai with Doodle. Now, the interesting thing here too, I think I kind of forgot to mention on that first spread, is we also have Covered Cloak, therefore we can't get flinched. For anyone who doesn't know, Covered Cloak's a new item that basically stops you from getting flinched. So Fake Out will not flinch you on turn 1. So yeah, basically I want to play this thing here with Slacking. Obviously Doodle Doodle will help you get rid of Truant, and then Taunt also can, you know, stop other threats. And then obviously, you know, you've got either Taunt or Leer. You know, it's just great support. Obviously, one, if you're up against like a slower team, something like Leer can really just help the Slacking nuke. And then obviously Scary Face is great for speed control. The only thing I really do need to test in the future, and look, my memory doesn't serve me great. It's been quite a long time since I've used Slacking, but I do want to find out, for example, if I say Scary Face turn 1 or Leer turn 1, pick up a KO with the Slacking on turn 1, then if I Doodle before the Slacking attacks, do I then get to attack on turn 2? I'm not 100% sure how that works. Definitely interested to see how it does work though, because I think this is going to be a combo that could be quite potent. But also for the spreads here, the 36 points in speed is essentially, so this thing is 1 point faster than Breloom. Again, more or less just because, like, look, it doesn't really need to be 1 point faster than Breloom, but like, I don't want anything to ever be slower than Breloom. I don't want to ever, for some reason, I click Foul Play and this thing just spores me before I get it off. But yeah, defenses, obviously this thing on the physical defensive side is quite poor, so I put a lot in the Phys Def, a little bit in the Sp Def. Obviously, we see here I've gone for the Careful Nature. Might be wondering why. It's more or less because you actually get one more stat point. So I think yeah, I think if I swap the stats and I make it Impish, I think I get like 104 and 110, whereas with this I get 105 and 110. So yeah, that was the reason behind this stat spread. Nothing crazy really. Obviously, it's just a bulky support mon with Prankster. Well, not a bulky mon, but trying to make it as bulky as we can. But anyway, as I touched on before, we do have a combo that we are pairing up with the Swagger set for Grafaiai, and that is Tinkaton. So Tinkaton here is a very interesting mod. When you look at this thing, obviously its stats don't look like anything like crazy. Like obviously it's relatively bulky, its attack stats kind of bad, its speed's, you know, pretty decent, but obviously it has the Fairy and Steel type typing. It's a very, very good combo. Obviously we've seen it with ones like Vagina where it is really, really strong. But the main reason why I want to pair this up with Grafaiai is it has own tempo and Fake Out. So basically what that allows me to do turn 1 is I say, you know, Fake Out whatever the threat is, I swagger myself, I give myself +2 attack, and then on the second turn, I can then fire off, you know, some attacks with a Scary Face, obviously giving me the speed control over what I need to outspeed. Obviously, when I look at this, the mod I'm instantly scared of is Garchomp, but obviously I'd have to look at the stats on it, but sorry, on the spreads on it, but potentially a Gigaton Hammer, which is this thing's I always stuff it up. It's a signature move. Is a 160 base attack steel move that you just can't use 2 turns in a row. I think that's the only drawback. Like you don't have to recharge, you don't take recoil. It's just you can't click it 2 times in a row. So at 160 base power, that is insane. Obviously, when you pair this with things like Leer and whatnot, it can do a lot of damage. But yeah, essentially the spread here, we have Fake Out just to help us, you know, set up for either, you know, something like Swagger, Leer, Scary Face, whatever you want it to be. And then obviously got Tinkaton Hammer, as I said, 160 base power steel move. It's absolutely absurd. Play rough, just because obviously it's its second main stab. And then I've just got Rock Slide and Heavy Slam here. Kind of whatever you want, whatever your team needs. The main reason for Heavy Slam is obviously if you just want to spam steel moves, you can't click Tinkaton Hammer twice in a row. For the spreads here, obviously just 252 max on the speed. Just, I wanted to basically just be as quick as possible because you never know when you're going to need it. And then the defensive stats here, I believe the 20 HP, so I think the 20 defense got me to an odd number or something like, so an even number. 169 attack, just because I think 169 attack tends to be pretty good, but obviously I'll have to run some calcs. I might need a little more, might need a little less, but like at +2, I think it's like, I forget off the top of my head, like 240 attack, something like that. Pretty damn absurd. And with this one too, we have the steel Terra type, obviously just so our Tinkaton Hammers can they just slap. And then the second spread we have here is a bit of an interesting one. This is a set where I'm probably thinking of looking at running this with like a Tornadus or something. And that is obviously the exact same set as what we just looked at almost, but we are a Terra Ground with either Terra Blast or Bulldoze. The main reason is if you look at, like, I guess a lot of this mon's weaknesses, it is, the ground types, it's the fire types, it's stuff like that. And what this essentially allows you to do is either one, like if you're running it with something like a Tornadus, you can run Bulldoze, obviously more speed control, it's AoE, it's really good. But if not, just a base 80 power Terra Blast will, really do a lot of damage to anything that is weak to it, really. And then obviously in that last slot too, we got Rock Slide, Heavy Slam again. Basically the same reason we had it in the last one. Heavy Slam is just great coverage in case Tinkaton Hammer's down, and then Rock Slide is just Rock Slide, right? If you outspeed things, there's a 30% chance you're gonna flinch either mon. It's just, yeah, really good. But yeah, Tinkaton is a mon I'm super excited to play with. I think this thing's its lore is hilarious. If you haven't seen it already, definitely look it up. It's basically this thing picks on Corviknight, and if you're a singles player, you hate Corviknight. So yeah, I really like Tinkaton, and I'm super excited to get to play with this in the future. And the next mon here I want to talk about is the starter that I think got the special treatment, and that here is, well, it's Quaxly's evolution. Look, I won't show a picture of it, obviously, just because I don't want to spoil people, as we are, still about a week or so out from the game. But I think this mon is going to be absurd. Obviously, it has the water fighting typing, which I think the only mon that shares it with, like Poliwrath, which is kind of arse, Urshifu water, which is pretty damn good. But the reason this thing here is pretty strong is it is, at least in my opinion, why I think it's going to be really strong, is its signature move, Aqua Step, paired up with Moxie. So for those who don't know, Aqua Step is a base 80 power physical attack that boosts your speed every time you click it. And then obviously you pair that with something like Moxie, where every time you get a KO, you get +1 attack. This thing can just get out of hand in the end game. If you ever get it onto a board state where it can just pick up a KO before it dies, it's just going to start taking a lot of KOs. And then obviously being that it's a fighting type, its second main stab move, I guess, is close combat. Obviously CC is absurd, 120 attack, 120 base attack. It's really damn good. Obviously we throw Protect on it because Protect's just great in VGC. And then for the last slot, it honestly comes down to whatever you want. We have Ice Spinner here. I think Ice Spinner now, like, it's not confirmed yet, I don't think, but I think it's an 80 base power ice attack that doesn't miss, that also destroys terrain. I might be a little off on that, but that's basically off the top of my head, that's what I'm thinking of. So it's pretty damn good, obviously, into any teams that, like, say for example you're playing up against like a Indeedee Hat or something like that. Could definitely, definitely be something to watch out for. And then the other two moves I got in that same slot is either U-turn. One, obviously U-turn's it's just great utility. If it's a bad board state, you just U-turn out. And then Aqua Jet obviously is just priority. And yeah, I guess if you ever get a Moxie boost priority, Aqua Jet is pretty damn strong. We slapped a Life Orb on it just because extra attack's always nice. And then for the stats, the spread here, again, I think the 140 speed was, so at +1 it outspeeds a Dragapult. I could be wrong on that one, I'm not 100% sure, but that's roughly what I've been trying to spread for, just because obviously we don't know what the meta is going to look like, and Dragapult should be the fastest thing in the meta. And then the rest of it is just what it is. I think the 36 special defense hit a certain breakpoint on the defense, basically through the rest in HP, and then I put the last 4 points in the defense. But yeah, I definitely think Quaxly probably has won the War of the Starters. look, Sprigatito might be there. We'll have to wait and see. Sprigatito, obviously, for those who don't know, has protein. Definitely a very good starter as well. But I kind of think these two have kind of left Fuecoco in the dust, but we'll obviously have to wait and see. But yeah, I think Quaxley is the king of the starters. And then the last mon here I'm going to talk about today is Cetitan. Now, Cetitan is one of my absolute favorite mons in this this generation. I love the design of this thing. I love its stat spread too. 170 HP is absurd. But the main reason why I think Cetitan is going to be really good is the buff to Hail. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen, or I shouldn't say Hail now, I think it's Snowstorm. But the buff basically just Snow Warning and, you know, the new version of Hail, I guess, works the same way as Sandstorm does, which is, or it's not the same way, but very similar. So Sandstorm, for those who don't know, buffs the special defense of the rock type. Now, so Snowstorm will be buffing the defense stat of a ice type. So yeah, I know like I'm on like a Lola Ninetales is going to be like really damn good with it, I think. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Cetitan, and Cetitan for me, it's a Slush Rush user that actually isn't that slow. It's 73 speed, which is, you know, pretty good. And it has access to Belly Drum. Now, this is very, very interesting to me because it also has priority Ice Shard. Obviously, the moveset here, if you can't see, Belly Drum, Icicle Crash, Earthquake, and Ice Shard. I might switch out Icicle Crash for that ice move we were talking about just before, Ice Spinner or whatever it's called. Yeah, I think it's called Ice Spinner. Depending obviously on accuracy and, you know, some damage calcs, but more or less this mon, I think at 116 speed, in the snow, it outspeeds Dragapult again. Obviously, something we were calcing for. 252 HP is just 252 attack is just max attack. Obviously, when you Belly Drum, you know, you're probably just going to one-shot a lot of things with Ice Shard, which is, you know, pretty damn good. And then the defensive stats where we're just me evening out some stuff. I forget exactly what they hit, but yeah, I didn't mean for them both to be 36 in each of the defense stats, but it's just what it turned out to be. And then the item here, obviously, because we're running Belly Drum, we have gone with the Citrus Berry, and we went with the Ice type on this one just because, you know, we just wanted to hit as hard as possible with those Ice Shards and with the Icicle Crash. But the second set we have here, pretty similar. I did consider potentially changing the Terra type of this, but I did stick with Icicle Crash, and that is the Assault Vest set. And the main reason I think Assault Vest Cetitan could be pretty good is obviously with the now, you know, the buff now to Hail buffing defensive stat. Obviously AV buffs the special defense stat. So basically this thing will almost always have a +1 in both of its defenses, while also having 170 base HP, which is pretty damn absurd. Obviously offensively went the same. We're Adamant 252. This time we just dropped Belly Drum, obviously, because we can't click Belly Drum. And then obviously with the moves we went with the same main three as before: Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, and Earthquake. The big reason for Earthquake is Earthquake like hits like everything that resists the ice type of besides water, I think it is. So like I think like Steel and Fire obviously resist the ice moves, which obviously Earthquake hits. I want to say there's one more I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but Earthquake is like just the perfect coverage. And then in the last slot we have Icy Wind. The reason I've got Icy Wind there is just speed control. If it's like a bad game for the mon, you know, you just support your team with speed control. Superpower is another just great move, obviously. I'm not sure if it's super necessary. I guess it depends on the team you're running, obviously, because you don't want to like EQ your allies, and obviously Superpower is really good for dealing with the steel types. And then Heavy Slam is just another great coverage move, because this thing I think weighs a lot, so the Heavy Slam from it will be pretty damn strong. But yeah, that's the 5 main spreads I wanted to kind of talk about today. If you guys like it and, you know, want to see some more, there are definitely a lot of mons I want to talk about in the near future. I think there's just a lot of really cool mons coming up in this game. So yeah, guys, let me know down below. You know, give me a like and all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. But yeah, anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.